All right, welcome everyone. And just want to make sure, all right. Okay, we're back in the baking studio. We are ready to bake lots of stuff. Today we have Rose from Doyon.
Hello.
Rose, are you a certified chef? Or?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a trained chef in both hot foods and baking and pastry. Worked in restaurants, country clubs, catering places, and now I do corporate manufacturing. So.
Great. Thanks for dropping by and helping me out today. Me and Jing really need your help. Okay, so first off, we want to showcase a different kind of a portfolio of baked goods for you, mainly because we want to make sure that these baked goods last the shelf life that you need to be able to provide to dispensaries, because that's the current situation now. You can only sell to dispensaries. So you can't sell something that is 5 days old. You have to sell something that is 60, 90 days old. You know, just to give you an idea, Nutter Butters, peanut butter sandwiches, meat cookies, both 6 months shelf life. Okay. Crackers, how long did we say this?
Those have a 3-year shelf life.
3-year shelf life.
That's gross.
And 6 months shelf life on these shelf stable cookies. Okay, so as you can see, a lot of these shelf stable cookies are no less than 90 days in offerings. And you're like, oh, well, how can I go beyond 10 days? You know, I bake fresh goods. Mm-hmm. The real challenge here is trying to bake lower water activity baked goods. Okay, and the reason why it's because the lower the water activity, the lesser water there is for mold growth. Okay, so anything less than 0.7 is going to help in terms of water activity. Let me turn this down. And for baked products, you want to target 0.7 and below. And if you go to our BAKERpedia page, you will understand how water activity is measured. And you can reach out to labs like Wheat Marketing Center or any of the food labs in your extension of your departments of your university to get them to test the water activity for you. Okay. And I just want to show you guys today a little bit about, you know, what we have currently in the edibles space. We got this from the local dispensaries. You know, we're talking a lot about candies, and candies have a shelf life of over a year, basically, if you can see that, candies. Okay, and these are these are not child
safe.
Safe. This is Lynn safe. I can't even open it. Ah, there you go. Wow. Okay. It's some more gummies, and this is a hot sauce. You see that? It's a hot sauce. These are actual flowers. You know. Yeah, I fail. I can't open these things. Some more flowers here. We're gonna show this. That really smells, doesn't it?
Yep.
All right, fudge. And I want to show these cookies that I bought from the dispensaries. Just an insight on these cookies, they are $8 each, right? $8 a packet. And they are pretty pricey because of the dosage of the, again, it's Lynn safe. Okay. All right. Can't open these things. This is so hard to open. I'm just going to cut it. All right, what does it look like? Okay. I don't know, Rose, do you think it looks like an $8 cookie?
I don't think I'd pay $8 for this cookie, but I know friends who would, so I won't judge.
This is one more.
It's broken.
I broke it actually,
Okay. That's fine.
but you can see, right? So smaller in size. The potency is the same. It's 50 milligrams. And I wanted to show you guys this because the bar is not very high for this, okay? And I believe bakers can do better, and we can offer more in terms of better varieties. At this price point, a lot of us can be creative about it, okay? Also, these packages look great, but I'm very sure they're homemade.
Yeah.
Very sure they're homemade. Again, do some homework at your local dispensaries and figure out what needs to be done to enter this market, okay? So if people are willing to pay for $8 per cookie and you make an excellent cookie or something that has lower dosage, because these are all 50 milligrams, it's pretty high, okay? If you made something like a 5 milligram and people eat more of it, maybe you can charge more, like maybe, $10 for 6 cookies, of 8 just for one, right? There's a possibility there. Okay, so if you guys could all pull up your Doyon gluten-free cookies. The reason why we put Doyon's name on it is because I took your recipe from IBIE and made it gluten-free.
Awesome.
Okay, so garbage cookie. Do you have the story behind that?
Yeah, so I was prepping to go work a convention in Vegas, which is where we actually met. And the idea was you take everything that's left over in your pantry at the end of a busy work week and you throw it into a cookie base and you make a garbage cookie out of it. And when I was working at a restaurant down in Chicago, this was like the favorite after the rush snack to give to the line workers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I got kind of infamous for my garbage cookies, and I just thought I would share it with the convention as a demo, and people loved them. Yes. And then I give away the recipes because I believe you should be sharing your experience and knowledge with people. And
always share.
And now you've taken it and made it gluten-free, so
now it's available on BAKERpedia after this class.
Yeah.
So we are going to start with the gluten-free garbage cookies, and we have a baked product offering for every special diet group. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
If you're on a gluten-free diet, we have a cookie for that. If you're on a keto diet, we have a cookie for that. If you are a vegan, we have a cookie for that. And if you're a peanut butter lover, we have a cookie for that too. Okay, so
that's its own category because peanut butter is my favorite.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start. Wait, no, we have to talk about the dosage. Okay, so really important.
Yeah,
this is a really important part. Okay, if you could take a look at your mint cookie sandwich recipe. Okay, we have the dosage out as THC indica at 6.38 mils. I'm going to show you how to calculate that. So let's do this. If you could hold this up for me. Can you see that? Okay, no, this way more. Okay, all right, so say you have your dosage, your oil. Can you please pass me the oil? The peak oil? Oh, there, it's right in front of me. Okay. It is 9.4 milligrams per mil. Okay. I hope you can see that. All right, because right now it says it says on here what the dosage is, so follow that. Okay, and what do you need? What do you need? And what do you do? Okay. All right, so I wanted to develop a line of cookies that have microdoses. So why microdosing, right? Because a lot of people like myself who have never tried CBD or THC before, it's a good way to introduce people to microdoses. And also you can eat more than one cookie, all right? The pleasure is in the eating a good cookie, not just dosing, okay? So I wanted to do 1.25 milligram per cookie. Okay, so so what do you do? Okay, if you have 9.4 in the mil and you want 1.25, so you take what you need, divide by what you have, and that gives you 0.13 mils per cookie. Okay, and what is your batch size? How many cookies in that batch? Okay, if you're going to make 48 cookies, like this formula tells you to, you take that and you times this. Okay, 48 times 0.13 mils, and you get your 6.38 mils. So you pour this 6.38 into the bowl when you cream up the butter and the sugar, and you should be able to get your dose of 1.25 milligrams per cookie. Okay, all right, this is all going to be recorded, so you guys can go back and take a look at the math when you need. Okay, let's go. You want to start?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's make
All
some
right.
cookies.
All right, we have real butter, sugar.
So this is creaming right now. We're adding our butter with all of our sugar.
Yep.
We have brown sugar as well.
That's right.
Using a paddle attachment on a stand mixer. I'm gonna go ahead and get this onto like a nice low medium speed. This is
On.
plugged in. There we go. Room temperature butter is always the best for creaming.
To do it. The dosing. Where?
And tools.
Yeah, looks like that.
Once our butter is creamed together with our two sugars, we're going to add in, this is the oil, correct?
The oil, yeah.
This is the oil.
Can I show the oil to you? Here you go. It's golden yellow, okay? So it's not going to impart any kind of green color to the dough.
Stir it down the side of your bowl, always for even mixing. Make sure that all the ingredients are being incorporated fully.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you get into edible production. Like, we always want to be consistent with baking regardless because it's a science, but the second you're talking about edibles, your precision and accuracy has to be so much more precise.
Yes, that's so true.
We're going to go ahead and add our oil to our creamed butter and sugar. Make sure we're getting all of that as well. This is a lot of money right here.
Make sure, yeah.
For all of this.
Yeah, I mean, this is not cheap. I mean, a bottle like that, it was $50. So
yeah.
Yeah, I probably could make I say 10 batches out of that.
Yeah.
Not more than 10.
Yep.
So it's $5 a batch. It's not cheap.
Nope. We have room temperature eggs, and I actually go ahead and add my vanilla extract in at this point as well.
Okay.
Add 1 egg at a time when your mixer's still on. Let it incorporate before adding the next egg. Again, we're looking for a lot of consistency.
Right.
Next egg. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and wipe down my bowl again.
Right.
And now the next step of the cookie making is really adding the ingredients with your dry and then all of your inclusions, the things that we're adding in, whether it's chocolate chips, oats, potato chips. Whoop, let me get that going.
We are going to reshare the board after we're done mixing with this batch, okay?
So you have adjusted this recipe for it to be gluten-free.
Gluten-free and shelf-stable.
Awesome.
So we have the all-purpose gluten-free flour. If you have your own blend, go ahead and use it. But I really like the King Arthur's gluten-free blend. It doesn't have any gum, so it doesn't have that gummy, slimy feel to it. It's very consistent in quality as promised by the King Arthur's brand. Okay, what we're going to add to that is more functionality. So basically, we're going to use Nutrilak, which will give it some more protein strength to it. Okay, and then we are going to add the Tender Gel, which is modified cornstarch, which will give a good viscosity, a good stop it from spreading. And we are going to also add baking powder, okay, and Sourmate, okay. So basically, Sourmate is a preservative. It's a natural preservative, and it's using arowan berries. So I wanted to share with you guys a little bit more about who creates Sourmate, and that is J&K Ingredients. Basically, it is a replacement for potassium sorbate. Okay, it's going to give you that 90-day shelf life.
Awesome.
All right.
Then we'll add the
salt
Sultan.
yes.
Nope, we're good. So Sultan as well, just because it's a
Salt.
dry ingredient.
Right. Okay.
So all of the dry goes into our mixer. I go 1 batch. This is when you don't want to turn your mixer on high though. We're going to just go slow to incorporate it. At this point, once our flour is in, we don't want to over mix it. If this was a regular flour, we would be overproducing that gluten strength. So I look to mix my cookies until the flour is just like absorbed finally. Turn off the machine, add in all of our inclusions, give it 1 little mix, and then your cookie dough is done. So I'm going to stop it right there. Got white chocolate chips, milk chocolate or semi-sweet, whatever you prefer. We have oats. These are just quick rolled oats. Toasted coconut. Little sprinkles. And this is new. I've never seen this.
Oh, so I wanted to show you guys. We got this amazing flavor inclusion called Key Lime Inclusion from Balcam. And they basically, you know, use the best flavors and pair it out with a color. so that it remains intact when you do all your mixing.
Awesome.
So it won't break apart. So it gives it a special liney feeling.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna add these in as well.
Yum, yum.
And then I'll actually add my potato chips in for like the last second so we don't squish them too much and lose that good bite.
Oh, I get it, because I wasn't doing that.
You like want the chocolate chip pieces, not the, we want the potato chips.
All right,
so
see?
that's like the last second.
Right. That's like the secret to all this, because I was like, how do I get that?
It's the last second.
Yeah. And the original recipe had pretzels in it. Because this is gluten-free, I didn't add it. That pretzel also gave an extra texture to this wonderful cookie.
So it's literally just like a few mixes and then you're good. And that's it.
Right, so
push all your dough off your batter beater.
You got that? All right.
We're gonna.
All right,
Just got that.
Okay. Dispense over there.
Awesome.
You can help me.
Would you like me to do that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just do that. Now we'll go over this. All right, let's go over this calculation again. Can you guys see it this time? See, can they see it? Closer. Okay, so you have indica at 9.4 milligrams per mil, and you need 1.25 milligrams per cookie. I mean, you can, decide what you want that dose to be. You can even, go up to 5-10 milligrams, as Dr. Borrow said. A 10 milligram is kind of a standard for a cookie. So you take the desired dosage, which is 1.25, divide by your oil strength, which is 9.4, and you get 0.13 mils per cookie. All right. And if your cookie batch is 48 cookies, like what we have here, then you times that by 48 and you get 6.38 mils of oil to add. So that's how you're going to do your calculations. This video is going to be available after the class, so you can come back to this and reanalyze it again, okay? But these have to be done before you start any of your trials so that you will get a good understanding of dosing, and it's very, very important to be precise, okay? All right, while Rose helps dispense the cookies into the cookie tray, let's start with our next experiment. We could take a break here. There you go. All right, do we have any questions for from the floor? If not, we're just going to go ahead and make the next batch up.
Yep.
Okay. Where are all the bowls? There aren't any bowls left. This is actually very crumbly, and I like how the pieces are still crispy. You put it in the batter. those of you who can't see me, I'm just cleaning up the bowl. Get ready for the next cookie. Right. Okay, I am going to flatten the cookie quite a bit because we have developed the formula so that there is no cookie flow, all right? This particular formula with the tender gel pretty much keeps its shape. So you have to physically compress the cookie to a point where you want it to be that height, okay? Because there's going to be no flow in these cookies. So there is zero cookie spread here. And it's very crumbly, so I'm going to be extra cautious. There. Thank you for your patience. We are going to be, yep. All right. Next up, we are going to be doing keto crackers. Okay. All right. So we have right here. We have the keto mix. Okay. This is called Power Flex. It's from one of my baker friends up in Canada, and he blended a blend of what was it? Golden flax meal with rye meal. Okay, so it's very, very high protein, like almost zero carbs in this flour. Okay, so you take Power Flex or any kind of keto mix. Okay, and black pepper, salt, baking powder for the fluff, Italian seasoning, onion, garlic, pesto, butter, water. Let's do the butter. And the THC. Just spread in here. Some crispy onions. I wonder whose idea is this. Everything tastes better with onions in there. So yes. We have both the indica and the sativa. Okay, so you can use any oils you want. All right, and you can use a mix of both. You can use a mix of THC and CBD. It's really up to you. You just need to make sure that you do the correct calculations. I think if you're a baker going into the cannabis edibles field, you need to really be precise on your math, okay? And really need to calculate these out properly. All right, so do we have, so yes, you can use CBD oil. All right, so next.
Cut the butter into the cracker.
Oh, wait, no. It's, let's just mix everything.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward process. We'll just put in everything. Because, you know, there's not much butter, not much creaming to be done. And everything is just flavoring. Okay. One of the reasons, okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Why did we not put in sourmate in this? Can anyone tell me why we don't put in sourmate in here? That's the last one that you put in there. Any answers? No sourmate. Very good. Low moisture. High five to the person who answered that. Okay, so this cracker is probably going to have a water activity of around 0.4 to 0.5. You know, check out our water activity page. It will tell you when pathogens start growing and when molds start growing. So plus the fact that it has onion, it has garlic, it has basil. Those are natural preservatives. You know, they are natural, you know, anti-mold and pathogen inhibitors. So it got a lot of that, plus the fact that it is really low in moisture and water. That's why you don't need potassium sorbate or similar preservatives in this kind of crackers. And one more thing about distribution-wise, if you guys want to distribute this product for a longer shelf life, you do need to put in an antioxidant. So basically either an EDTA or similar, so that you don't, so that it doesn't turn rancid on you, because it's got such a high oil content. Any kind of instability in terms of temperature fluctuations is going to cause this thing to oxidize, okay? And when you oxidize, it turns rancid. So no for rancidity. And if you are going for a longer shelf life with this kind of product, you really need to put in an antioxidant. And don't forget to wrap it up in a totally opaque packaging so that no light goes through it. Okay, it's important. I need a roller. Okie dokie. So we have this. Okay, so I am just going to roll this out and we're just gonna bake it. We do have a little prep work to do for the next product. So I'm just gonna take a break here and ask Rose, does Doyan have any kind of solutions for startup bakeries?
Yeah.
Can you show us?
Yeah, I would love
Okay.
to. I've actually got a presentation.
All right, let's show them.
Okay.
While they see me roll this out.
Okay. Hi, guys.
I don't think you see it.
Let me share.
Yeah.
You're looking for confirmation that people can see the screen? Yep, the Doyan screen. Awesome.
This is what. Yep.
Awesome. So, okay, I'm over in the next room doing a Doyan presentation. Dr. Lynn's going to be finishing up some stuff in the bake shop, and I'm going to talk about Doyan a tiny bit. So as mentioned earlier, my name is Rose Cowell, and I am the corporate chef for Doyan, which is an equipment manufacturing company located in Michigan, actually. My job with the company is kind of ambiguous and obscure, but basically anything that has to do with end user customer support, that's really what I'm doing. So if customers have questions on how the equipment works, best application for recipes, troubleshooting, that's kind of where I step in and offer my expertise. As mentioned earlier, I do have a background in culinary arts from a cooking school in the Chicagoland area. And then I've kind of crossed over into the manufacturing equipment world, and I've kind of combined my two loves of baking and science with interpersonal relationships and getting out and doing demonstrations and conventions around the world. So it's been really fun. So today I wanted to talk about the solution that Doyan can provide for people who want to get into edible production and they have no clue where to start, right? So if you go into any like expo or convention center talking about equipment manufacturers, there are hundreds of options. There's 50 plus lines of ovens, mixers, proofers, dough dividers. And unless you're so familiar with manufacturing, you're probably like, well, where do I start, right? Like, where do I begin? What's the difference between this mixer and that mixer? So we just thought this would be a perfect opportunity for Doyan to collaborate with BAKERpedia and start meeting you guys halfway. Like, I will come towards you guys in this edible production world and help assist and get you started with equipment that maybe you're just not familiar with. So Doyan is more of like the premier side of equipment manufacturing. I would like to say we have some very high-end pieces of equipment that will produce incredible production and then also last you for countless years. So I've got a quick little presentation that I like to walk through. So first, when we talk about this baking of science, right? Science is a chemistry. And there's reactions and there's processes that we must follow very accurately to always produce the result we want. So when we follow instructions, right, the end product is consistent and the same. And that's what science is really about. It's controlling accuracy in your methods. We need standardization, we need control, and we need accuracy when we're talking about baking. That's actually what's attracted me to the world of baking and pastry, is that I know for sure if I follow this recipe and I use these set of ingredients in these quantities, I will always have the result I'm looking for. And that's really appealing as a chef. But then when we get into the science of edibles, right, like baking is already a science. And now we're pulling in, we're talking about edibles, and we're talking about cannabis production, which is a controlled substance federally and statewide. So this isn't like you can be at home with your mom's KitchenAid throwing in some, cannabis here and there and hoping that your product's going to be consistent and that you can go out on the street and just sell it to people. So if baking is already a science, then I would say edible production requires even more so fine control and regulation, accuracy, and standardization. So when you talk about scaling, right, scaling is the actual process of measuring out your ingredients. We need accuracy, and the scales that Doyan can provide can have accuracy of up to 0.01 grams.
Some of our scales are so accurate that you can even blow across the surface of the scale and you'll see fluctuations because it can pick up on the smallest amounts. Also, when you're talking about scaling, you do need the ability to jump between different units of measurement. So grams, ounces, pounds, right? So here in the United States, people still like using tablespoons and ounces. But when you're talking about fine controlled baking, you see most chefs always working with grams just because the control is that much tighter. And then also when you're scaling, you need an easy to read display. It would be unfortunate if you read the scale saying one thing and then the person next to you read it differently, and now your recipe actually is, you know, off from his. So that's kind of the requirements for scaling we're looking for. Requirements for mixing. The product always needs to be homogeneous. So if I'm creaming my butter and my sugar together and I'm adding in an infused oil, if this portion of the mixture has more of a concentration in it than this does, it's not accurate, and then the dosage is going to be off. So we need mixers that are accurate in being homogeneous. We need multiple attachments, whether we're talking about whipping up eggs, creaming butter, maybe even making doughs with a dough hook. And then for can be very easy to clean and control that way. And then for baking, the part that people probably get the most scared about is because when you're talking about working with infusions and inclusions that are at a high selling point, like I would hate to be that person who loads up an oven with 50 plus cookies infused and I burn them, or I forget to set my timer and maybe the oven's accuracy isn't even there. And that's not just like a loss to you financially because it's like ingredients you've lost and time you've lost. You've actually lost the cannabis in there as well. So we really, really need units with even airflow and bake. There is no room for uneven burnt product, right? Because the cost is so extremely high. We also need easy to control operations. With the turnover rate in the culinary industry, I would say you could probably hire a new employee every month at some points, and assuming that they are as accurate in their cooking as you are. I just don't want to assume that people walking in the streets know what they're really doing, which is unfortunate to say. So we need easy to operate controls that are good for high turnover rates. We need a highly visible oven cavity. So when I'm outside of the oven looking in, right, is it well illuminated? Is it lit? Are there big window panes so we can see the stages of our cooking? And then we need really, really accurate temperature control to the nearest degree. As we heard earlier from Chef Cody Lindsay talking about, going too high in your cooking and what it does and starts bringing down the integrity of the cannabis. So I would hate to put, again, cookies into an oven thinking I have it set to a certain degree, realizing the whole unit's actually not even calibrated correctly. And then we've been baking at 375 degrees where I was actually preferring it to be at 315 degrees Fahrenheit. So those are just all requirements that I want you guys to be aware of when you're selecting equipment. There are so many more variables that will come into play depending on your specific production levels and what you're producing. But these are kind of the three basic core ones. So then if that's the science of baking and then we covered the science of edibles, what's the solution for people? So I would love to introduce BakeSuite. So BakeSuite is Doyon's revolutionary bakery management system. It's an intelligent operating system that manages your bakery, reduces dependency on labor, streamlines workflow, provides accurate recipes, and integrates with your bakery equipment to provide consistent results every time. So manage your recipes, forecast your sales, and control your inventory all in one screen. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide, which is going to be a short clip. So let's see if this works. Okay, so that's kind of like a quick little recap promo video of the Bake Suite by Doyon Bakery Management Technology. And then I'll talk a little bit more about that specifically if I can get out of here. So using the Bake Suite technology by Doyon, you use the smart screen and app to store and scale your recipes and execute recipes simultaneously. So that tablet that you saw in the video, that's like your smart technology, right? It's using Bluetooth connectivity. You can upload upwards of hundreds of recipes that are all scaled and accurate and measured out to your parameters. And then your unit can, like, always has those recipes on file, so that, you know, whether it be Baker Johnny walking in on his shift for Monday morning, or it's Sally on Wednesday night, they come into the establishment, they choose what recipe they want to make, and then they move forward in that way. I've worked in restaurants and bake shops where they have gross binders full of recipes and you're just misplacing them left and right, and you're hoping that, you know, somebody didn't spill too much vanilla extract on the recipe and you can still read it. Here, again, we're trying to take away any room for error when you're baking with edibles. So using the smart technology is going to be really efficient. There's a connected scale for real-time measurement of ingredients. The cloud integration system, we can actually connect your Bake Suite to your oven, to your proofer, to your mixer. So let's say I'm making, you know, those garbage cookies from earlier, and I hit the go button on starting my cookies. It'll actually turn on my oven, preheat it for me, and then alert me when it's ready to be loaded in. We can also work off of mixers. Let's say I started creaming my butter and something called me away somewhere else in the kitchen and I walk away. We've integrated timers to shut off the mixer so that by the time I'm somewhere else in another room, I'm not worried about either over creaming something, under creaming something. So it's just really helping with kitchen management and workflow. So then again, Bake Suite collects all of your data. It can provide analytics and reports on ingredients portioning, inventory management, energy consumption, preventative maintenance, labor, as well as forecasting. One of the things I love is that the Bake Suite will collect data on incorrect portioning. So let's say it's been 2 weeks and you notice that your brownie recipe is not consistently being produced the same every single time. And you're thinking, well, but we have this Bake Suite and it's got a scale built in, so I don't know where, like, you know, this hiccup is happening. You can go in and pull your recipes and when they were made, by who made them, and at what point the recipe was not correctly followed. Because we still have to assume that there's going to be error when it comes to the end user actually baking, right? Like, that's a smart technology, but you still need to have employees who know how to follow directions. So that's nice to go in and, you know, maybe the first time they make a mistake, we'll give lots of grace there. But if it's consistently being misportioned out, if they're overdosing each recipe, if they're underdosing, that is action that we would have to take measurements to then go and correct. Because this, at the end of the day, it's a business, and they're probably going to be losing you money if you don't take corrective actions. So that's kind of the solution that Doyon provides. And then we'll go into some equipment. So this is what the scale looks like for the Bake Suite. You see the integrated touch screen with all of your recipes on there, scale built right in. So you go ahead and portion right into your bowl. It's cool too. So not only can you portion into your bowl on the scale, but then you can measure out your batch size. So let's say I'm scooping cookies with like a handled scoop. I would scoop the cookie directly onto my baking sheet prior to baking, and it'll tell you if you're falling within the range for how big your cookie needs to be. And I'll give you an okay ding when it's time to move on to the next sized portion. I mentioned this, but it does use Bluetooth connectivity to sync with any of our brand. So then we'll go on to some solutions for you guys. So for mixers, Doyon has a wide range from everything from a planetary mixer on your left to a spiral mixer on your right. Some people, if you're not in the industry, maybe you don't know, spiral mixer on the right is really only for bread production. So just the way that the bowl is built and some of the different features it has, this is ideal for gluten development and specifically bread products. And then on the left, the planetary mixer, this is kind of following the same motion that like your at-home KitchenAid mixer would. And then we have tons of different attachments for your needs. So we have, you know, beaters, we have whisks, we have dough attachments, and then even we have the one on the far left has a rubber coating on it, and that scrapes the side of your bowl so that you don't have to manually go in and scrape down with a spatula, which saves on time. And also when we talked about everything being homogeneous and everything being fully incorporated, that's when these attachments would be really ideal for you. Ovens, this is this fun stuff right here. So Doyon has a full wide range of selection. Starting from the left, we have a signature rack oven. So this is big production. I'm just going to say it. This is you're loading up hundreds of cookies at a single time, brownies, you know, whatever we're going to be talking about when you're producing. And you would roll your whole rack straight into the unit. The unit actually picks up the rack and then it spins it for you during the baking cycle. This is ideal because there is no end user going in and manually rotating your pans for you. It's even baking all the time from top to bottom, back to front, side to side. These all have touchscreen controls on them as well with easy to read displays. And it's a big power workhorse, but the SRO is a great oven. And the next two in the middle, we have both options for like typical, you know, jet air ovens, convection ovens, circle air ovens. And then on the right, that's called the artisan deck oven. And this is kind of like an old school artisan stone baking oven where you could inject steam into there to help with artisan bread production and getting good crust on your breads. Those are some of the ovens that Doyon has. And then shaping and dividing, we have you know, you covered from everything from shaping and dividing doughs, sheeting. If you're doing, you know, cut out cookies, using that bottom sheeter would be ideal for uniformity, making sure that throughout the whole product it is the same thickness, regardless of where you're looking at it. And then for proofing and retarding, Doyon also has walk-in and push-in proofers and retarders for bread production, if that is something people are interested in. So that is kind of the overview of Doyon. We have a huge selection of bakery equipment, more so than I could ever mention in just a little bit of a presentation. But this conversation was just to start this collaboration between the manufacturing world of baking equipment and then getting into the edible production. So I will be the first to admit, I don't know anything about edible baking myself, but I know a lot about equipment. So I'm hoping that this is a great starting point for people getting some of these initial questions answered. And then also just getting out the name Doyon, right? So it becomes a household brand that people would recognize, just in offering the highest quality for all baking needs at larger level production. So that's really all I have on Doyon. I'm going to go join Dr. Lynn again in the kitchen, but before I do that, just want to check and see if you guys have any questions. So let me pull that up.
Doesn't look like we have any questions right now, but if anyone has follow-up questions, is there an email they can get in touch with you, or what's a good way to follow up with you guys?
Yeah, so let me think. So we are on social media. We have like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, at Doyon Baking Equipment. Also, I do have an email address that you guys could reach out to. I'm trying to think of the best way to, like, you know, so we can go, I'll go ahead and give it out right now. It is R as in Rose, Cowell, Cowell, at Carter, so CARTER dash Hoffman, HOFFMANN.com.
Okay, great. Cool. Yeah, and you can always reach out to us at BAKERpedia, and we can help get you in touch too. And in the packet that we sent out this morning, there's some brochures for some of the stuff that Rose just went over if you want to learn a little bit more about it there. But yeah, it was great. Thanks, Rose, for going over all that.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Now I think we are headed back to see what Lynn is up to.
Right, that was an excellent presentation. Let's see if there are any questions. All right, no questions so far. Good. Great presentation, Rose.
Thank you.
That's so true about the dosing aspect of things. Do we have a technical issue? Let me get to it for a second. No? Yes, it is. Can you hear me now? Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody hears me. Right? Okay. One of the questions I have for you, it's really exciting to learn that someone has developed a cloud-based solution to hold all the information. Can it be accessible by various locations? And you know, it's just like if I have 5 retail stores, you know.
We could definitely plug that throughout your whole establishment, whether it's location based. So you could walk into your location on the north side of town and have the same recipes that you have on the south side of town. And all that data and analytics would be pulled to a single cloud. So you could log onto your internet and totally find all that information, regardless of where you are.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out that that's so important because you're working with these things, right?
Yeah.
So that you can track this every step of the way.
Yep.
You know, when you measure them out, make sure that they don't go missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so ovens look great. I wish I had one of those here.
We're gonna get you one someday, I promise.
Would be great. And really, it's an exciting suite of things that you guys are offering.
Yeah.
To the bakery who wants to get into this, you know,
Yep.
this particular area. And Rose and I were discussing about, you know, the sizes of bakeries who want to enter this market.
Mhm.
And it's my perception after listening to Dr. Bloom and Dr. Borio that we are not seeing the traditional bakers in this field. We are seeing new bakers, and we are seeing new bakers who don't have experience, who want to disrupt into this industry. And basically they are looking for, you know, startup tools like yours, you know, and basically you can't apply for an a state license for a big commercial bakery. So you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Like your entire new baking facility has to be by itself. Like, it cannot be part of what you have right now. You know, so that's the case. We're talking somewhere between, you know, $500,000 and $1 million kind of baker. You know, that's the sweet spot. That's what I see. And I think a lot of them would have a capital budget between $200,000 to $300,000. You know, so I think Doyon has that nice sweet spot.
Yep.
Corner. So
Exactly.
awesome.
Yep.
Great thinking.
Yeah, it's like we're more
Yeah.
than the KitchenAid at your mom's
Right,
house, but we're
right.
not pumping out
You're not-
Nabisco-size
Nope.
ovens where they produce 5 million cookies
No,
an hour.
We don't
so.
need that. Yeah.
don't need
so
that
we need
right now,
this
so,
little
yeah.
sweet spot for bakers who want to start up, who want to start producing revenues between $500,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
I think with this size equipment, they can get there really fast. So great,
I
great,
agree.
great. Okay, so next we are going to work on the infused cannabis biscotti. We have, if you follow your recipes, we have white flour, sugar, shortening, chocolate chips, baking powder, vanilla, salt, eggs, the usual thing. We have that tender gel in there. The reason why we had tender gel because the biscotti kept breaking. So we needed something to glue it together to get it firmer so it can cut better at the second baking stage. And then we have lecithin in there as well, also for the slicing to make it less crumbly. Okay. And we have 2.7 mils of sativa in here. It will give you, again, 1.25 milligrams. So let's go ahead and start creaming the sugar and shortening. All right, question for you bakers out there. Why do we use shortening and not butter in this recipe? Any answers? Any takers? Doom, 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 doom. Let me go see. All right, so when we do a recipe conversion from butter to shortening, it's pretty much a one-to-one switch. Let me lower that down so it's not so noisy in here. But basically, the reason why we use shortening versus butter is because shortening is better for longer shelf life. It's more stable, so you won't get that rancid smell. And it's also comes in commercial, like big sacks. Yep. So it's easy to use and easy to dispense. It's also a more affordable option than butter. Okay. So it's a usual system here. We cream the butter and the sugar. We add in the eggs and the liquids, and then we are going to add in all the dries. Yeah. Yep, that's it. Is that the oil? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's do the oil. Yeah. So where are you from, Rose?
I'm from Chicago.
Chicago. Born and raised?
Born and raised. Always
Awesome.
been there my whole life.
Where'd you go to culinary school?
I went to Joliet Junior College. It's a suburb of Chicago, and it's actually a community school. But since it's community, it's not very expensive, but they have some of the best chefs as instructors there.
Wow.
One of our chefs was just, he got his master chef last year. So we have a master chef who teaches there, and then we have people who are on the culinary Olympic team for the United States, and they go and compete worldwide. Wow. So yeah, I was very honored to have studied underneath some of the best chefs in the nation right now there.
That's awesome. And how did you end up in the baking industry?
I don't know. I just
like you got so many things to choose from. Why baking?
I remember growing up, like 12, 13, watching Food Network. And like, all the cooking shows were taking off at that time, and the celebrity chef was really prominent. And I loved baking at home. I liked cooking at home. I grew up with a big family, and I was kind of the one who got pushed the cooking responsibilities onto. And then I always just worked in restaurants because it was an easy gig for a young kid to have. So I don't know. I just got into it and fell in love, and I worked in this industry. So that's all I've ever done.
That's really cool. I love to hear chef stories. All right, we're just creaming it up and putting in the liquids. we'll do this next, and then that last. Wish we had one of your mixers here with a side scraper.
Yeah, we got scrapers.
What kind of mixer is that?
It's for a planetary mixer.
Okay, planetary.
Yeah.
Okay. With Biscottis, you want to give it a little more development to get some gluten strands, you know, developed properly. Because if you don't, then the cookie is going to crumble when you cut it for drying the second time.
Yep.
So we're going to give it a good mix, and we're going to develop it just for about a minute. Yeah, at a very low speed. Yeah, that's all we can do. All right.
And we've got chocolate, orange zest, cranberries.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So tell me, how is it like at Doyon?
It's great.
What do you do?
I do. Oh my
Like,
gosh.
do you travel?
I travel a lot, so I'm here in Portland, which is fun.
Okay.
I travel a lot with the company. We're doing expos and conventions throughout the year.
What's the next one you're going to be at?
I will be in Toronto next week for the Restaurant Canada show.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll be down in Vegas for the Artisan International Baking Expo.
Right.
And Doyon will have a booth at both. So if you guys want to stop on by, you'll see me there doing live demos with a lot of our equipment that'll be turned on and on display, and I'll be using a lot of them.
So if you guys have any questions, stop by the booth at Doyon and ask for Rose and have a conversation with her.
I'll be there.
So what are you going to be baking?
Restaurant Canada show, I am doing a dessert cinnamon pizza, like a cinnamon roll pizza.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So-
How do you do that?
Well, the unit I'm demoing on is a rotating pizza oven by Doyon, and so it had to be like a pizza application, but I didn't want to just do pizza because everybody else is going to be doing pizza too.
Oh, yeah.
So I love cinnamon rolls, and like that's like a smell that grabs people when they walk by. So I
Right.
like developed this fun cinnamon roll pizza, and it's got like a streusel crumble topping on it. It's pretty
You
good.
gotta
So
send me pictures.
I will, yeah.
Gosh, that sounds
We'll post up on our social media. So
Right. And what's your social media handle?
oh gosh, I think it's Doyon Baking Equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so the dough's ready.
All right. We are just going to do this.
Smells so good.
Yeah. Just gonna make a log out of it. Okay. Flour. You need to flour your hands. Let's give it some sprinkle magic. Sugar. Yeah, want to come all the way here because this thing really moves. It's not like the other formula. It really spreads. So I'm gonna press it in. Right, let's put that in. Okay, we're ready to go next. Thank you. temperature at 340, 330 about. For about 30 minutes. And once the biscotti is done for 30 minutes, it cools. And then when it's firm enough to slice, you slice it. The delicate thing about biscotti is if you slice it too soon, then it will crumble. So you want it to settle out a little bit. I mean, there's more you can do to the formulation to make it a little more rigid, to make it a little more tough by adding it more eggs. But it's not something that is cost effective. So sometimes the best part is to make sure that you add in as less water as possible to really form the gluten strands, and then bake out just enough to get rid of the water so you can cut it sooner. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But it's all a science behind that on water activity, how much water you add in, how much water you bake out. So it all matters. It's all related to each other. Basically, the more water you put into a system, the more you have to bake it out. Okay. All right, so while we wait for the biscotti, we are going to work on our next category. We are going to make the vegans happy next. We got something for vegans. This is a really easy lavender lemon vegan shortbread. So instead of butter in this recipe, and you guys can always use this recipe with butter because butter is more fragrant. But because the vegan trend is so strong, right? I mean, it's one of the strongest trend I've ever seen in the last year, in fact. So if anything in your offerings, you have to offer a vegan offering because people who go to dispensaries are vegans too, okay? And it's not difficult. It's not like gluten-free. You know, you need a segregated area to make. No, it's really easy. It's just basically switch out all your animal fats for plant-based fat, your animal proteins for plant-based proteins. And if you go to any of the shows, there's tons of them this year. Go to any food show, you'll see tons of protein-based alternative. So yeah, go ahead and start with the coconut oil and sugar. So we decided on powdered sugar because we got both.
That's regular sugar.
It's regular sugar. Sorry, I thought that was powdered sugar. Okay. Okay, we got the sugar and coconut oil cleaned up. And with the shortbread, it's really important that the creaming, that you get a little extra creaming in there because that's where you're going to get a lot of the texture. Yeah. So this is lavender from Oregon.
Really?
We picked it. It's from my friend's farm. we do things like that here
I
in
love
Oregon.
cookie with lavender.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
I was a little afraid of it in the beginning because I thought it was always a little soapy. But if you use it in the right way, in the right quantities, it's so floral.
Yeah. And we're going to add a little sorbate in here so that it can last up to 90 days at least. Okay. Notice in this recipe, there's very little water. That's probably like, okay, what is this? There are 2 waters here. Okay. There are 2 waters here. Okay.
Oh, lemon.
Oh, lemon juice.
Yeah.
Oh, lemon extract. Okay. All right. So yes, very little water. So the water activity is going to be really low in this thing. And instead of lemon juice, it's got lemon extract. So that can be changed anytime to lemon juice if you need.
Okay. And the got our oil.
Yep. Very little bit.
Very little.
Very little.
Add our salt into here.
All right, so if any of you have questions on the formulas or what we're using right here, just put it on the chat box and I should be able to get it and I can answer questions. Okay. Right.
Magic of this one.
The one thing about working with coconut oil versus shortening or butter is that coconut oil is a little more sensitive. Like,
Yeah.
like a baby. Like you need to take care of it. So the temperature has to be right. So you can't mix in a really hot environment. And actually you need to not overmix it. Oh, okay. Let's do this. Turn the mixer a bit. Yeah, there you go.
He's going here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, sprinkles. I don't think we need sprinkles in the lemon shortbread. She just wants us to put sprinkles in because she likes sprinkles. My kids love sprinkles. We'll skip the sprinkles.
The lemon zest.
Roll it out. Okay, we're just gonna roll this out and let's get the next one set up. We are going to do the nut butter cookie, and those are my personal favorite. Thank you. Pass.
Yeah. Gotta work fast in kitchens.
I'm like, I haven't even flattened out this dough yet, and you're done washing. That's hilarious. How long have you been working in the kitchens?
First job was when I was 14 years old
Wow.
and just turned 26. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
A lot of years.
Yeah. Actually, during so when you're a chef, your interview is called a stage. You go and work in a kitchen for a day free of charge, and it's the time for the executive chef to see your kind of your work ethic and
Really?
yeah, because they want to hire you based off of if you can cook, not whether or not your resume looks good, kind of. And when I was down in Chicago at this really fancy restaurant, I actually had the chef tell me, you don't have to work quite so fast. And it was so odd because I'm thinking like, well, why wouldn't you want to have like an efficient employee? He's like, I'm not timing you. He's like, you can slow down. So I have actually gotten from a lot of people like, you can slow down if you want to.
No, don't slow down. Please don't. If you need anyone on your team that's fast, you can ask her to come along. Okay, got it. That's the filling. That's the dough. Got it. Okay. All right.
Looks
Yeah,
beautiful.
because you obviously have mastered your speed over there. You know what you're doing.
I know how to move around the kitchen.
Right.
Yeah, I do.
And I'm not so good in the kitchen. I'm really good on production lines. Send me there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's see. So with these, you know, like I said, precision is key. We created this recipe for 3 dozen cookies. So we just need to cut them up right.
Mm-hmm.
So while I figure this out, why don't you start with mixing the
Dough.
Yep.
Awesome. For we're doing a peanut butter cookie.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I missed.
All right, so we might not be able to fit everything in here because we are almost at time schedule, but
Is that a time challenge? Do you want?
well, you know, we are almost out of time here, so we'll keep mixing while the seminar carries on with Linda at 2:30. 15 minutes. Okay, you know what? Just keep the cameras rolling. Yeah. We'll just keep the cameras rolling until Linda comes on. Show goes on.
So in culinary school, we always had the students who were so set on following the recipe all the time, and they couldn't keep their eyes off of it, and we called them recipe monkeys. Yeah.
Over here.
Recipe monkeys are the people who can't cook without
monkey.
a recipe in front of them. And somebody once asked me, they said, when did you know you were like finally a chef? And I said, when I no longer had to use recipes in front of me to make a recipe.
I'm never going to be a chef.
Pretty soon,
I need my recipes.
pretty soon, like you just know what ingredients do and like what their purpose and intention is.
Yeah,
And so if you lay out
absolutely.
ingredients in front of me, like I'll figure out like, oh yeah, well this is a creaming method, right?
Right,
And most
right.
cookies are, so it's easy. Okay, so there's the dough.
Right, we must be really precise, and we are going to get how many grams of dough? Do we remember? Yeah. 20 grams per dough. All right, so we're going to transfer that into a bowl. Do we not have any more bowls? Okay. In your bowl. Start mixing up the fillings. Fillings, peanut butter fillings. Get
Yep.
this past you. Here. All right. We need Josh to zoom in into my hands. Josh, can you zoom into my hands? Right here, like this one right here. That. Yes. Come on in. You want to get sugar, okay? And very good. Want to make it into a log shape. Rounded ends. Dip it in the sugar. Get it out. Make it look like a peanut. Does it look like a peanut? So when it's baked, it will look like that. Okay? So we are making the fillings right now, and we are just going to sandwich it like that. Okay? All right, so that's how you make a nut butter sandwich cookie. Right here. Do another one. Twenty. How's it going over there?
Good.
Quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
We're good though. We'll just keep going.
Not really. That looks good. Yeah. I'll flatten it here. We got 4 minutes left before Linda comes on. 4 minutes. So let's get that up. Let's just show how to use it. We are it's too much. All right, so we are going to just fill the cookie. And let's do, I believe, 18 grams. Oh, sorry. Let me get what happened there? There we go. 18 grams. Need to be precise.
Oh yeah. Very precise.
This is the part where,
There you go.
yeah, that's good. That's good. And I just wanted to share with you, you need to be precise with your filling because this is where the THC and the CBD is at, right? And you want to put the cannabis component into the filling rather than the dough because there's no heat treatment in the filling, okay? And I believe we have put in enough ingredients in there. Let's talk about that a little bit more. We have put in sourmate into the filling and into the cookie so that it preserves it for a longer shelf life. It's very little water in there, so the water activity is very low because it's little water and a lot of sugar in here. So this thing can last almost 6 months, okay? And because you used, so we use butter in the dough. You can substitute that for shortening, so it'll be shelf stable, okay? We do not have time to do the Oreo cookies, but the Oreo cookies are very similar in concept. It's straightforward mixing. And same thing, must be really precise on the dosage of the filling. Again, the THC is in the filling. And the minty smell really complements the THC aroma from there as well. So good luck. All these recipes are in your mailbox, your inbox. And if you have more questions, just let us know.